core GDP, and this is, you probably saw some numbers today. And I have to start off by saying that's Biden. That's not Trump, because we came in on January, this is quarterly numbers, and we came in and I was very against everything that Biden was doing in terms of the economy, destroying our country.
I guess it is pretty historic for this president to coin the new term, the buck stops everywhere else except here. It works so well with his supporters. Every time his policies screw things up, he went for it again.
This is a quarter that we looked at today, and we took all of us together. We came in on January 20th. So this is Biden, and you could even say the next quarter is sort of Biden, because it doesn't just happen on a daily or an hourly basis. But we're turning it around. It's a big ship to turn around, and we're going to have the greatest country financially in the history of the world, I believe. I think we're going to do things and we had to do it. We reset the table. We were being ripped off by every single country, with just about without exception. I'd have to really think hard for who hasn't taken advantage. And I don't even blame those countries. I blame the person that was sitting right here where I am for allowing it to happen, where our country was ripped off on trade, hundreds of billions of dollars. And now we're doing better than we've done in a long time.
Okay, wait. He went from blaming Biden again, and for the next disastrous quarter, right before claiming that now we're doing better than we've done in a long time. For real, people that don't like him say this guy is charismatic or he's a good liar and a con man. No, he isn't. He can't keep his lies straight and contradicts himself from one sentence to the next. I mean, how many quarters of a failing economy will be enough before he has anything to do with his policies? I mean, he even posted about it. This is Biden's stock market, not Trump's. I didn't take over until January 20th. Tariffs will soon start kicking in, and companies are starting to move into the USA in record numbers. Our country will boom, but we have to get rid of the Biden overhang. This will take a while. Has nothing to do with tariffs, only that he left us with bad numbers. But when the boom begins, it'll be like no other. Be patient. Not that he gives a damn, but one of his celebrity bro supporters, Dave Portnoy, who lost tens of millions of dollars in the stock market dive that Trump caused last month, is giving about a 15% pushback. What's that old expression? Don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining? Well, that applies here. The stock market is a direct reflection of Trump's first 100 days in office. Doesn't mean it won't get better and that we don't need to be patient, but this is his market, not Biden's. It's okay, bro. You can criticize Trump for screwing things up without taking it back before anyone starts assuming that you're learning from your mistake and promoting him. I mean, why should anyone be patient or assume things will get better when he's giving you zero indication that he's going to reverse course on the policies that actually got us here?
The executive director at the Port of Los Angeles, Gene Soroka, says Trump's tariffs will cause shipments from China to drop by 35% next week. Does that mean we're likely to see shortages and maybe some empty shelves?
Good morning, Stuart. And that's a possibility. Retailers are telling me that they've got 5 to 7 weeks left of traditional inventory. So at the end of that time, if we haven't reached some level of an accord, we'll likely see fewer choices on shelves and online shopping networks. Beginning next week, cargo from all locations in Asia, which is our traditional hub of imports, will be down by more than 35%. We rely on China for manufactured goods. 90% of trade moves on water, and 70% of our economy is based on all of us buying at the consumer level. With today's GDP numbers, we're halfway towards the definition of a recession.
It really can't be overstated how bad this could get. Gene Soroka there, the LA port chief, talked about fewer shipments coming in, which Trump responded to in a way by minimizing it for toys for kids.
They made $1 trillion with Biden, $1 trillion, even $1.1 trillion with Biden selling us stuff. Much of it we don't need. Somebody said, oh, the shelves are going to be open. Well, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30, and maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. But we're not talking about something that we have to go out of our way. They have ships that are loaded up with stuff, much of which, not all of it, but much of which we don't need.
It's just things we don't need, like, dolls, which is bullshit already, because we import everyday items like food, clothes, electronics, machinery, oil, fuels, and medical equipment. It's why this guy decided to minimize it to dolls. And since when do proud Americans accept one loser president telling them what they should have access to and how much of it they need? It's what they always say will happen in communist and socialist regimes that those crazy leftists want to usher in, regimenting your lives in goods. So if you want to believe the president who's only interested in running from accountability, you can. But it'll cost you even more than access to those everyday items.
What we're seeing now is that dock workers, truckers, warehouse folks will be having less job opportunities beginning next week. If you're a trucker today, hauling 4 and 5 containers, beginning next week, you'll likely be just moving 2 or 3. Dock workers who've been getting overtime, working double shifts, will likely work less than a full work week. This will hit our local and regional economy immediately. Wherever you're watching or listening to this broadcast right now, likely you're looking or wearing at something that was brought in from overseas, whether it be furniture, electronics, appliances, clothing, and footwear. The American consumer will be affected with less choice here in the weeks ahead on store shelves and online buying platforms, and likely prices will rise. These tariffs will be passed on in cost structure to the American consumer. Even if a trade deal was reached at this very moment, it would take the shipping lines approximately 2 weeks to reposition their vessels and start loading up the backlog of inventory and container cargo, and then another 2 weeks to come across the Pacific here to Los Angeles. That's a month that we'll see to get this trade balance back in motion as we're used to seeing it.
Job losses, income decreases, a lack of everyday items for consumers, and even if these phantom deals that Trump lied about as being ready to go any day now for the last month actually happen, it takes time to restart shipments and get things moving again. And that's if every country that we import these goods from make trade deals that don't result in high tariffs that the president is hell-bent on having. If the deals are made in ways that he wants, with tariffs in place, prices will still be up, by the way. Here's more from that cabinet meeting where Trump was cornered again on his bluster.
You frequently took credit for the stock market highs. You said it was a reflection of how well you were doing in the polls. And then after you were elected, you said the stock market highs were a reflection of how well the transition's going and the American people's confidence in your incoming administration. Now, the stock market's not doing so well, and you're saying that's the Biden stock market, yet you are the president. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I'm not taking credit or discredit for the stock market. I'm just saying that we inherited a mess, both at the borders. You could look at every single one of the people here, and no matter who it is, they're doing better, and they are far superior to what took place for 4 years before us. And even though you saw a stock market going up somewhat, because in my case, I had the biggest stock market increase, 88% in the last term, in my last term. But I don't view the stock market as the end all. It's an indicator. But what the stock market really tells you, and when you look at the stock market in this case, is it says how bad a situation we inherit.
Again, the stock market doesn't mean anything until he wants it to mean something. He literally did it in that minute-long rambling answer where nothing is his fault. Remember the day after he manipulated the markets and bragged about his billionaire friends making money off of his temporary pullback? Unsurprisingly, on that day, he was celebrating the rebound until it cratered again. I can't ask this enough times. Why does anyone still believe anything this trash president has to say?
I've seen the data, I've monitored it, I've looked at it, but the most underreported fact of the first 100 days is that we came in with a massive recruitment shortfall. And in 100 days of Secretary Hegseth and President Trump's leadership, we now have people breaking down the doors to join our military. To the media assembled here, it's a really interesting question. Why has that happened? Completely aside from the fact that I think it's a good thing or I think that President Trump deserves political credit for it, why did we go from a military where people didn't want to serve to now all of a sudden they do want to serve? That's a story you guys should cover, but compared to that, how much time have you instead focused on the fact that we deported an MS-13 gang member with a valid deportation order? And why is it that the press is so focused on the fake BS rather than what's really going on in the country? I think that what we've shown, sir, is that you can do a lot. You can do a lot in 100 days, but you've also unfortunately revealed that too much of the American media hasn't learned the lessons of the past 40 years. Thank you, sir.
Anytime your stance is to tell the media what to cover, and that story being the lie that you rightfully deported Killamar Abrego Garcia, after your administration admitted that they made a mistake in doing it, there really is no reason to take them seriously at all. Their entire basis for what they think makes this administration so glorious is the forced praise for the most damaging president in modern history.
In your first term, when I had a chance to work with you as governor, you were courageous. The thing that's empowering this amazing group of people around this table, and you've probably assembled the greatest cabinet ever, is that this time you're not just courageous, you're actually fearless. And it's your fearlessness to take on the issues that other presidents would not touch, whether it's the work that we're doing with successfully streamlining and right-sizing government, or whether it's taking on the issues at the border, or whether it's embracing the power we need to win the aliens race. You're fearlessly doing that, and that creates, and just all of us can sprint because you're running ahead. So thank you.
Thank you, Doug, and you are doing a great job.